Uncharted, another movie of Tom Holland which is based on the video game of the same name, and another live action of games again. Well, in 2021 we had Matrix 4, and you can see its review from this link, and Arcane, Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil as the best movies and serial those based on video game or previous versions. The point that Arcane could observe it very good was about that the serial was not dependent on the game. In Matrix 4, the movie was dependent on its lost versions. However, if you didn't see previous versions, at least you could have your own mind, but still it makes a lot of question marks in your head. But Resident Evil, oh, it was very horrible. It was completely dependent on its video game. But about Uncharted, well, it was something between Matrix, 4, Arcane, and Resident Evil. I'm not talking about the series, unless in no way you can compare Arcane with these movies. I mean Matrix, Mortal Kombat, or I don't know, Uncharted, and these bullshits. In fact, I'm talking about that how much the movie was dependent on, well, in this case, Uncharted or Resident Evil. I have to say dependent on its video game. About Matrix, I have to say dependent on its previous versions. At all, Uncharted was normal and good in this matter, but it was not like Arcane. I'm going to review Arcane very soon. Turn on your notification. But Uncharted was not horrible like Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. It was for 2021. If you did not play the video game, you can understand Uncharted, but Resident Evil, no, you understand very little. The movie was, well, sort of, you can say, very good for that group of people who likes and accepts live actions, especially live actions of a video game. But for the people who do not interested in live actions of video games, it was not fantastic, it was just good or normal. As I said, the movie was based on the video game with the same name, which the game released for the first time in 2007 for PlayStation. But the live action of this game made a lovely couple by using Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. In this movie, Tom Holland played as Nathan Drake, a brave young boy who was orphaned with his brother, Sam Drake. Both brothers are interested in ancient treasures and their maps. Sam left Nathan when they were young. 50 years later, Victor Sullivan, played by Mark Wahlberg, finds Nathan and asks him to join him to find a 500 years old treasure. Well, during the movie we can understand that Nathan is the valiant and naive adventure hero of the movie. And Sully, well, when the story carries on and we see Nathan and Sully together, Sully becomes Nathan's mentor in life's experience. So Sully asks Nathan to join him to find an old treasure. The movie's best point was at the airplane. We saw that sequence even before the movie released. On that sequence, Nathan jumps from the airplane and from the heavy loads that the huge cargo plane was carrying and getting off the plane. They came down like a ladder, except that Tom Holland was running on the loads. Holland, I can say he was thousands of feet up there in the air. It was one of the exciting and breathless moments of the movie. Sequences like this in this movie were too much. Another sequence happened exactly opposite of the airplane sequence. The airplane sequence happened in the air, but the sequence I'm talking about happened on the ground. Tom Holland's Nathan needed a key, unless he and a young and beautiful lady drowned in a lot of water, which adjusted by an ancient trap. The movie could be very better than this, but it has some traditional things. For example, in an old corridor which is full of traps, if you take a wrong step, you'll die. Or for example, big mechanical things will move to a general key and a secret path will be created that does not fit with reason at all. Or for example, another example is always the villain of the story. A person is rich and has a lot of money and is very greedy, but unlike the villain, the good character of the story, he has no equipment and no money, and he just has a friend and a poor heart. But it has something though that I do not say the way Uncharted's explosive things. I say Uncharted could picture them very good. The family's relations in past Arcane's time. For example, in the movie, new and old weapons used in one frame, continuing traditional things. Well, the movie, like James Bond's movies, had a party, a gorgeous party. We had a sequence like this in Red Notice and 355. Gorgeous clothes, high class and rich people, and all of them are in a big hall. In Uncharted, we had this element too, but it did not make very traditional. In the sequence, Sully and Nathan, they wanted to steal 2 crosses, which is in fact they are keys. In this sequence, we saw villain and good characters in the same frame. The villain in the first steps of the movie was Santiago Moncada, whose ancestors funded the Magellan mission, and Moncada considers himself the real heir of this ancient treasure. Anyway, let's back to that sequence. It was exciting because we saw both hunter groups with each other, and the common features of the groups was this, that both of them were ready to do everything to just find the treasure. As I said, Nathan was 10 when he separated from his brother, Sam. 50 years later, young Nathan, who is barman in New York, meets Sully. It is not accident. Most of things that happened in the movie is back to the relation between Sam and Nathan. The storyline of this movie had a good and creative property. This is a movie that happens in the air, like that airplane sequence as I said, in the water, under the ground, in a gorgeous hotel, in somewhere like a cave, but it's not completely a cave, it's like this. And many contrasting places and behaviors like this. For example, about contrasting behaviors, we have to take a look to Sullivan's character. In some points, he is a fucking asshole, but in other points, he is very selfless. Like in very sensitive sequences, he is very selfless, but in general sequences which they are more, he is very asshole. Another thing is, for example, Nathan. During the movie, Sully becomes Nathan's mentor. Sully in general is very asshole, but Nathan, no, he feels very easy. But in the last moments of the storyline, we saw a clever move from Nathan. It was like that sequence of
By order of the Peaky Blinders.
I think it was season 1 when Tommy Shelby wanted to test Lizzie that is she still a whore or not. A sequence of Uncharted meant like this, but it was not about being whore or not. The director was Ruben Fleischer, director of Venom 1. You can see the review of the second Venom from this link. Zombieland 1 and 2, Gangster Squad. He directed this movie good. I mean, this movie made from a video game, and Ruben made the movie less down like a video game. And he did this better than other movies in this style. However, the video game was more like a cinematic and made from old legends about treasures. But the live action of this video game came out exciting, lively, having a lot of sequences. Some of them were ancient, and some of them were so high-tech, I mean, opposite sequences. Alright guys, it was the first review of today. Don't miss the second review. You can see it from this link. Yeah, I mean, just come and click on it. So my channel to some more reviews. Don't forget to comment which movie you'd like me to have a review for you. And if you didn't like this video till now, do it, cause for me, second energy booster. And put the masks on to the next clip.